three. And look out, Caitlin Clark pushes Angel Reese, and Angel Reese gets right up into Caitlin.
Hold up. Did Christie White just get caught in the biggest cover-up in WNBA history? Because what just leaked about Caitlin Clark's injury timeline is about to blow your mind. We're talking hidden medical reports, contradicting statements, and a secret ankle injury they tried to bury for 2 whole weeks. Yeah, you heard that right. 2 weeks of straight-up lying to the fans who pack those arenas. And before we dive into this absolute mess, if you're Team Caitlin like most of us are, hit that subscribe button right now because we're the only channel giving you the real story while everyone else is sleeping on this scandal. So, get this. On August 20th, a bombshell report dropped that completely exposed the Indiana Fever's web of lies. Turns out Caitlin Clark didn't just have that groin injury everyone's been talking about. She also suffered a bone bruise in her left ankle during a workout on August 7th. But here's where it gets
Here's Clark firing and hitting.
Absolutely insane. The Fever knew about this ankle injury for 13 days and said absolutely nothing. 13 days. They let fans buy tickets, show up to games, and hope for her return while sitting on this information like it was some state secret. Let me paint you the full picture here because this story is wilder than anything Hollywood could script. Caitlin Clark has been out since July 15th with what they originally called a simple groin strain. Simple, they said. Day-to-day, they said. But now we're in late August, and she's missed over 20 games this season. 20. This is the same player who never missed a single game in 4 years at Iowa. Not one. Now suddenly she's more fragile than glass. Something doesn't add up. And fans are starting to connect the dots. Here's what makes this even crazier. Remember when ESPN literally had August 12th circled as
wants more of that from her, catching around that 15-foot area.
Clark connects! The first logo bomb of the season from Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin's return date? Their own broadcast team was saying she'd be back. Then suddenly she's listed as a game-time decision for the Dallas Wings game. Fans got hyped, started making plans, and then boom, Christie White comes out and says, "Oh, actually, she hasn't even been practicing." Like, what? How do you go from game-time decision to hasn't even touched a basketball with a team? Make it make sense. The timeline they're pushing is so full of holes, it's basically Swiss cheese at this point. They want us to believe she got hurt during a defensive drill in practice, but fans have receipts showing something completely different. There's footage of Caitlin walking around Phoenix on August 7th, the same day she supposedly hurt her ankle, and she's moving perfectly fine. No limp, no brace, nothing. She's literally carrying a designer bag and strolling like she's on a runway. But we're supposed to believe she was too injured to even practice. And it gets worse.
Pace, it's where Caitlin Clark excelled a season ago.
Angel Reese dives in and finishes.
Way worse. WNBA insider Rose Soldonwe just called out the entire organization on her podcast, and she didn't hold back. She straight up said, and I quote, "How can we trust anyone? Why the lack of transparency here? Like, what is the motivation? Even the professionals who cover this sport for a living are saying something stinks here. You want to know what's really going on? Let me break it down for you. This isn't Caitlin's first injury this season. It's her fourth. She had quad tightness in preseason. Then a left quad strain in May that knocked her out for 5 games. Then came the left groin injury in June. And now this right groin issue that's basically ended her season. That's not normal wear and tear. That's a pattern. And you know what else is a pattern? The Fever's coaching staff pushing her to bulk up too fast. From day one, all we heard was Caitlin needs more muscle. She needs to get stronger. She's not ready for the physicality. So what did they do? They had her adding...
Comes away with it. Here is Clark. Clark feeding Boston, who can't finish. Lexi Hull comes in, grabs the rebound. She said, well, I know you guys love it. Oh, what a pass from...
Muscle at a rate that any sports scientist would tell you is dangerous. Your body needs time to adjust. Tendons and ligaments don't strengthen as fast as muscles do. It's literally sports medicine 101. But no, they rushed it. And now look where we are. Speaking of patterns, Let's talk about how Stephanie White has handled every single injury update. It's like she went to the school of saying nothing while talking for 5 minutes. No timeline. Taking it day by day. We'll see status quo. Those aren't updates. Those are deflections. Fans aren't asking for her complete medical records. They just want to know if their favorite player is coming back this season or not. Is that really too much to ask? But here's the part that really has fans seeing red. During one of the press conferences about Caitlyn's injury, ESPN reporter Scott Agnes was literally laughing while discussing it. Laughing. This isn't some random bench player we're talking about. This is Caitlyn
Clark, little mid-range is good. Boston gives it back. Clark to Boston.
Clark, the face of the WNBA, the player who's selling out arenas across the country. And this dude is chuckling about her being hurt. The disrespect is off the charts. And don't even get me started on assistant coach Bianca January. Fans haven't forgotten that moment when she stepped on Caitlyn's foot during a game. Yeah, that actually happened. Your own assistant coach stepping on your star player's foot, and then weeks later, that same player has mysterious foot and leg injuries. Come on now. Connect those dots and tell me what picture you see. The frustration isn't just from random fans on social media either. Season ticket holders are furious. People who've invested thousands of dollars to watch Caitlyn play are getting radio silence from the organization they're supporting. One fan commented, "Somebody isn't telling the truth, and honestly, that's putting it mildly." Another said, "If I was a reporter, I would ask a direct question. Is Caitlyn expected to come back from her injuries for the rest of the season?" But reporters won't ask that because they're too busy protecting their access. You know what's even more suspicious? The timing of when information gets released. They wait until late on Friday nights or right before games to drop updates, hoping people won't notice the contradictions. Like when they said she was progressing well and doing full court running, but then admitted she still can't practice with the team. Which is it? Is she progressing or is she stuck in neutral? And let's be real about what this means for the Fever season. They're currently sitting at 18-16, clinging to a playoff spot, and they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. Without Caitlyn, they're a completely different team. Sure, Kelsey Mitchell has been balling out and Aaliyah Boston is doing her thing, but
here's Clark, 4 seconds left. Clark fires. You bet! Clark drills.
Caitlyn is the engine that makes everything run. She's averaging 16, 5 points and 8 assists when she actually plays. Those aren't just numbers. That's the difference between winning and losing in this league. The craziest part, the Fever actually had a 5-game winning streak without her from July 24th to August 3rd. So, the team proved they could compete, but then reality set in. They can win some games without Caitlyn, but they can't sustain it. They can't build momentum, and they definitely can't make a playoff run without their superstar point guard. Here's something that should alarm every Caitlyn Clark fan out there. She went on Sue Bird's podcast recently and said something that made my heart sink. She said, "I've never been through anything like this." Think about that. This is someone who played through everything in college, who prided herself on being available every single night, and now she's dealing with injury after injury. She even admitted she didn't understand the pain at first because she'd never dealt with injuries before. The worst part, Caitlyn also said there's no real timeline for these types of injuries. It's not like 6 weeks and you're back. It's all about how you feel. And even when she has come back this season, she doesn't know how she'll feel the next day. That's not the confidence you want to hear from your franchise player. So, what's really happening behind closed doors? Sources close to the situation, and I mean people who actually know what's going on, not the PR spin doctors, are saying this injury is way worse than anyone's letting on. We're talking potentially season ending. Yeah, you heard that right. Season ending. They're hoping maybe, just maybe, she can come back for the playoffs, but even that's looking doubtful at this point. And here's the thing that nobody wants to say out loud. The Fever might actually want to shut her down for the season. Think about it. They've already proven they can't protect her from opponents targeting her. The refs won't call fouls when she gets hacked. The coaching staff can't figure out how to use her properly. Maybe they're thinking it's better to punt on this season and start fresh next year. But that's not fair to Caitlin, and it's definitely not fair to the fans. People bought season tickets specifically to watch her play. The WNBA's TV ratings spike whenever she's on the court. She's literally the reason casual fans are tuning in. And the Fever are just going to waste a year of her prime because they can't get their act together. That's criminal. The lack of transparency has gotten so bad that fans are now saying Caitlin should go back to Iowa to see real doctors. Think about how crazy that is. Fans trust random doctors in Iowa more than they trust the Fever's medical staff. That's not just a credibility problem. That's a complete organizational failure. And it's not just about Caitlin either. The Fever have had a ridiculous number of injuries this season. Sydney Carlson tore her ACL and is done for the year. Ari McDonald broke her foot and is out for the season. Sophie Cunningham tore her MCL. At what point do we start asking questions about the training staff, about the strength and conditioning program, about the culture that's being built there? Even other WNBA analysts are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. When professionals who cover the league for a living are saying things like, the reporting has no rhyme or reason, and calling out the lack of transparency, you know something's seriously wrong. This isn't just fan frustration anymore. This is becoming a league-wide embarrassment. Remember, this all started because Christie White couldn't keep her story straight. First, Caitlin was day-to-day. Then, she was out indefinitely. Then, she might be back for the All-Star game. Then, definitely not. Then, maybe August 12th, then August 26th. Now, who knows? The timeline changes more often than the weather, and fans are sick of it. What makes this even more frustrating is that Caitlin herself is being muzzled. Every time she talks about her injury, it sounds like she's reading from a script. I'm working hard, feeling good, trusting the process. Those aren't her words. That's PR department nonsense. The real Caitlin would be telling us exactly what's going on, but she can't because the organization has her on lockdown. The impact of this goes way beyond just the season, too. Caitlin is in her second year. She should be building chemistry with her teammates, developing her game, establishing herself as the face of the franchise. Instead, she spent more time in the training room than on the court. How is that good for her development? How is that good for the team's future? And let's not forget the business side of this. The Fever have a golden goose and Caitlin Clark. She's merchandise sales. She's ticket revenue. She's national TV games, and they're fumbling the bag harder than anyone could imagine. Other organizations must be watching this and laughing. Imagine having the most marketable player in women's basketball and handling her this poorly. Some fans are even starting conspiracy theories about why the Fever would want to keep Caitlin out. Maybe they don't want her to outshine the coaching staff. Maybe they're trying to prove they can win without her. Maybe there's jealousy from other players. I'm not saying any of that's true, but when you leave a vacuum of information, people are going to fill it with speculation. The saddest part of all this, Caitlin Clark deserves so much better. She chose to come to Indiana. She embraced the organization. She's been nothing but professional through all of this. And this is how they repay her with lies, cover-ups, and disrespect. If I'm Caitlin's agent, I'm already planning the exit strategy. Look, nobody's asking for every detail of Caitlin's medical situation. We get it. There's privacy concerns, competitive advantages to consider, but there's a huge difference between protecting information and straight-up lying to your fan base. And right now, the Fever are on the wrong side of that line. The bottom line is this. Christie White thought she could outsmart everyone with her vague updates and deflections. But fans aren't stupid. We have eyes. We have social media. We have receipts. And we're not going to stop asking questions until we get real answers about what's happening with Caitlin Clark. So, what happens next? If the Fever have any sense, they'll come clean. Admit they screwed up the messaging. Give fans a real timeline, even if it's not what we want to hear. Because right now the cover-up is becoming worse than whatever the actual situation is. The trust is broken, and it's going to take a lot more than PR spin to fix it. Until then, we'll keep watching, keep asking questions, and keep holding the Indiana Fever accountable, because Caitlin Clark deserves better. The fans deserve better. And honestly, the entire WNBA deserves better than this absolute circus. If you're as frustrated as I am about this whole situation, hit that like button and subscribe for more real talk about what's actually happening with Caitlin and the Fever. And comment below with what you think is really going on. Because